I think Dr. Ni committed class suicide by joining the services of the Nigerian Communications Commission. At least I was beckoned to serve. That's the difference between Dr. Ni and I. I spent 6 years behind the Iron Curtain for my first and second degrees. And I was taught Marxist philosophy, my 100 and 200 levels, and had to pass that course in order to proceed to successfully complete my first and second degree programs in telecommunications engineering. And I don't think it is correct to say I have since abandoned my Marxist toga. But I remember in the university, people refer to me as Marxist UG. UG are my initials, just to make us laugh a bit. But on a serious note, we have the second thing in common, that is our love for literary work. You know, I am fascinated by the effort that Dr. Ni put in the production of this book. It's not easy. People who sit down and put their thoughts together and commit those thoughts in writing are some of the most intelligent people in our society. People talk about the stereotype professor being shy and absent-minded, but give him a microphone and he will prove you wrong. I remember the different stages that entail writing a book. I remember this very well because perhaps I had the opportunity to write 1 or 2 books myself. It is very, very difficult from the time you start, putting the chapters together, producing the manuscript, endless corrections. In fact, my PhD supervisor finally, when I did my PhD at the University of Manchester Institute of Science and Technology, said to me, okay, you are all done, but you should give this manuscript to an English person to read. The simple reason is, in his opinion, I did not have the correct style, English style, of speaking or writing. And so I ended up giving the thesis to a lady in the same department who read through. I made a few corrections, of course, just so that my supervisor, who happened to be from South Africa in the days of apartheid, went through and decided, yes, there's something there that, as they say, amounted to an addition to existing knowledge at the time. And that was what qualified me to get the PhD. But today is not about me, it is about Dr. Ni. And I remember the narration made by Azu and, Mr. Frank Eweke Jr. about events, political events that shaped, our society, globally speaking. And while in Poland pursuing my 2 degrees, I remember traveling to East Berlin, during the days of the Cold War. And I had to pass through East Germany, East Berlin, before, I reached West Berlin. So it's like West Berlin was, encircled by hostile territory at the time. That is, East Germany was like a territory that encompassed East Berlin. So when there was a blockade at some stage of West Berlin, the Americans had to find a way to bring, supplies, using, planes and so on and so forth. Today, when you look back, I remember while traveling by train to West Berlin, I saw the wall dividing East and West Berlin. I also the electric fence equally dividing, the two Berlins. And I remember even the electrical system in East Germany has to be overhauled when eventually the unification, happened. I remember visiting all the concentration camps in Poland at the time, Auschwitz, Sobibor, Treblinka. And then when you put all this together, you cannot but be amazed about the strength of the human spirit. Because finally the wall came down and we now have one unified Germany. And I think it is this that really shaped my thinking and the way I see things and put them in the right perspective. The social media in this country has come to stay. Of course, Newsweek did an article. I remember seeing that article about applied to the United Kingdom, titled The Ascendancy of Twitter and Descendancy of Responsible Politics. That is the opinion of the author who did that title. It's not my opinion, to be honest with you. I know, ladies and gentlemen, network anonymity has become a source of concern for all of us. The way and manner we resort to inflammatory and defamatory content to simply denigrate our political opponents do not add value to the political process. And perhaps when you write your next book, you will dedicate a chapter on a responsible way of, using the social media to do politics. I think that will make an interesting reading, to the general public. But this is a good start. I think you must be congratulated for finding the time to address the issue of cyber politics in the manner you did. If I'm not mistaken, I had the rare privilege of writing the foreword for this book. And it took me a while to read and digest everything before I could sit down and write a verbatim foreword. I hope I have succeeded. I am leaving the verdict for that, to those who will be reading your book. I think another issue that is confronting society is the poor culture, that social media has bred. People do not read books anymore. It is easier for them to just, Google search everything. Okay, here with apologies to Azu, whose articles I always read, as far as photos and other, social media platforms. There are excellent articles, to be honest with you, written by prolific writers, like him. And I congratulate their effort in making the social media space interesting. The smartphone, okay, the social networks are recent phenomena compared to when we have the printing press. The printing press, according to a book written by Hannah, titled Transformation to a Networked Society, it took the printing press 50 years to reach 100 million people. 50 years. The radio took half those number of years to reach the same number of people. It took the internet. The internet took the internet a little under 1 year to reach 100 million people. Such is the power of the social network, that there is no kill switch. We all know this. You cannot kill the internet. And so by extension, you cannot kill social media. We've got to learn to live with it. We've got to learn to find, a responsible way of using the social media, and this can be done very easily. The NCC does not regulate content, but we regulate the infrastructure over which social media is hosted, ensuring that the quality of service and quality of experience, are of the highest standard comparable anywhere in the world. And today, we have a staff, an important member of staff of the commission, devoting time, in addition to his primary responsibility, to write this beautiful book. I think we need to congratulate Dr. It's not easy. I remember when I joined the NCC in 2015, I came with my examination scripts. And on one side of the table, I will deal with the mails for the day, and then move to the other side to mark the scripts. So this dual responsibility from time to time comes heavily on our shoulders, and there is no better evidence to say that Dr. Ibiaton handled it better than the production, through the production of this book. Congratulations once more. As he said, we have not heard the last about him, and I was wondering whether this is just a one airport, that he intends to make. So I'm very, very pleased to hear that this is going to be a continuous exercise, and very soon we're going to see more books, on other interesting subjects, to the public. And I'm fortunate not to have any issues with you, going by your trends, as an activist. I consider myself very, very lucky. Perhaps because we operated, not at a very close distance, but I'm often fascinated by the way you address the public on occasions, like this, when you serve as the MC, and I often don't want you to stop speaking, because there's a lot one can learn from what you say, as well as what you do. So I still consider myself very, very lucky that we have not had any spat so far. Going by our antecedents, in the university system, for which I'm a very proud member of that, important community, I know people like you, can easily make life difficult. So as I consider myself very, very lucky that really, in addition to the 9 men that is, characterized by managing an agency like the NCC, I haven't had any problem with, Dr. Ni. I hope it will continue, the relationship will continue to wax stronger, especially considering the fact that I only have a little under 2 years to finish. And I'm sure you will still be there by the time I leave. I will say a small prayer for the next person who is going to be at the helm of affairs, of the NCC. But I'm sure by now he knows what he's going to inherit. That me will be one of those members of staff to watch out for, so that he manages, in addition to other multitudes of responsibilities that characterize running the NCC, but there is that human factor, a human dimension to that responsibility that must equally be addressed. So finally, it gives me great pleasure, Dr. Ni, distinguished members who are gathered here today, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, to present this book, on behalf of the management and staff of the Nigerian Communications Commission, and to recommend same, to all of you to find time to read, even if it is going to be a chapter for a day, please devote time to read, and I assure you, you will not regret going through this entire literary effort by Dr. Ni. As for you, I want to congratulate you for this. Please stand up and let's applaud him one more time. And it's good to know we have not had the last from you, and we'll look forward, to whatever additional literary effort you are going to make, and we hope we can all benefit from that effort and bring to bear, in running not just the NCC in a manner that will make it even, the regulatory agency of repute that it is, and that will make it, preserve that important name as the foremost regulatory agency in Africa, but that will make our staff to become conversant of the power of the social media and how it can be deployed responsibly, to change the human condition. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, what the social media has done is to make our society an instant one. This is the opinion of experts. We have become an instant society, and the power truly belongs to us to make things happen the way we want them. Let us not lose that important lesson of the social media. And I thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yes. We will do the unveiling at that end. We would also invite him to come up and join with you, and we'll invite others to join along with you. Yes, sir. So we'd invite Azu, the commissioner, our chairman, our publisher, the former immediate boss, Dr. Jobo, and the representative of Vice Admiral Gambo. Please also step forth. Would all come up here to do the unveiling of the publication. So, you lead our chairman to that end of your own. And just to say that, you know, in the part of the country where I come from, there's something we call Isheagwari. As though you will know what that means. So you must, the presentation should not be just presentation. Yes, Niyi is a public servant, but it's the book that we are presenting. I would need this book to be in the hands of as many Nigerians as possible in our schools across the country, in the National Assembly, etc., etc. So we'll need to wedge it and support it and subsidize the publication. Is that the word we use most often these days? We provide subsidy for the publication. May I also invite Prof, the older brother of Niyi, to join us up here. Thank you very much. And the Reverend brother, please also join us here. We need that prayerful support and the family support. Yes. Hold on. So how do you want us to go? Yeah. So, sorry. Are we good? So step forward a bit. So what do we count? On the count of 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 unveiled.
I have my own.
Yeah, it is. Is it standing? Yeah, it is fixed.
So what do you want to check my The NCC did not mention. They made a list of acknowledgements.
In mind that we would all lend support to the publication so that we can distribute as many copies as possible. We can distribute as many copies as possible to to schools across the country.
Right. Distinguished ladies.